Centralized Hotspot Service in MikroTik Part 2. So in this video, Centralized Hotspot Service in MikroTik Part 2, we will have a quick review on where we are in our topology from the part number 1 of our video tutorial. For those of you who haven't watched the first part, please check on that first in our channel. For part 2, there will be an AP and station to be configured. There is also a new site router from where our new hotspot user will be connected. So we hope that we can extend our hotspot service from our main router to this new site that will be site number 2. We will also check if these new devices, the access point, station, and the site router, will be reachable by our management VLAN. And finally, we will verify internet access on our new hotspot user. This is our video tutorial topology for the centralized hotspot part number 1. So to recap, we have an empty hotspot main router that has the hotspot service, and it is running 2 VLANs, which is management and one for hotspot. So we have a management PC that is able to connect or reach the management IP of this main router. So we configure bridge VLAN filtering on these particular ports to allow us that these VLANs, VLAN 88 and VLAN 99, to traverse to this managed switch. So the management switch Ether 1, Ether 2, Ether 3 are configured in trunk ports. So after we have configured this empty hotspot router, meaning to say we have also configured internet connection and is able to gain connection to our internet sites. So we go and configure the empty site 1 router. So basically making a bridge port or bridge interface for Ether 1 and Ether 4, and making Ether 1 on this router as a trunk port that allows VLAN 88 and 99 as well. We have created a VLAN 88 management interface that carries this IP so that our management PC will be able also to reach this particular IP. And our Ether 4 we configured as an untag or access port so that our site PC or our test hotspot user will be able to connect to this and hopefully get the hotspot service connection from our main router. So then we are able to test from our site PC that we are able to get an IP address from this hotspot VLAN 99 with the IP that is carrying 1099.0 something on our hotspot user site 1 PC. And from there, we try to log in to the hotspot page or portal that is provided from the hotspot service, and we are able to authenticate from the user that we have created locally on this empty hotspot. And after the authentication, we will see that we are connected and we are able to browse or reach internet sites via this router. So that is part 1 of our centralized hotspot service in MikroTik. So that is the wired connection part. Now on part number 2, on the right side of this topology, we will try to do the same objective that our hotspot user from the site router will be able to connect or gain access via the hotspot service provided by our main router, but this time it's wireless connection. And to make this part number 2 more interesting is, if you'll notice, I will make use of a real hub AC Lite or a physical MikroTik router hub AC Lite model on this main router, I will make use of a real disk Lite 5AC for our access point and our station. And finally, on our site router, Lite model of our MikroTik. And for this scenario, we will make use of a VM virtual machine for our site PC to test hotspot connection, as well as a virtual machine test management PC to see if we could reach the management IP addresses of our MikroTik device. As you can see, I have added a few management IP addresses in our topology. So we still have the 1088.0.1 for our main hotspot router, but this time the access point should also be reachable via this management PC, and this access point carries 1088.0.10 on the management VLAN. And the station that is connected to this access point carries a management IP of 1088.0.11. And finally, the MikroTik Hoplite site router will be 1088.0.3 and also should be reachable or even manageable by this management PC on the same management VLAN network. So meaning to say, the GNS3, so here is just used for topology or just for illustration purposes only, as we are making use of physical. So again, we will not be configuring appliances. Of course, this is a virtual machine, but however, for our routers, so these are not cloud hosted routers anymore, but they are real MikroTik routers or physical devices. So again, GNS3 is meant for illustration purposes only. So I powered up our management PC, which is a virtual machine. So if we review our topology, so on the left side, you have the management PC with the following IP 1088.0.100. So that is why the TCP IPv4 IP address setting for this computer or this virtual machine is 1088.0.100. Next, I turn on the hub AC Lite, where in this diagram will act as our empty-hotspot or our main router that is connected to the internet. So as you can see, so this is the empty-hotspot router, and it is in hub AC Lite model. In the first part of our video series, so we have configured cloud hosted router as our main router. So again, this time, so it is hub AC Lite. But then again, there is nothing much difference on the settings on our CHR to that of our hub AC Lite. So we will still have the same settings on our bridge and our VLAN interfaces for this device. Let's check our configuration. So let's go to interfaces. So we have Ether1 that is going to the internet router. We have Ether2 that is going to the managed switch, which is then connected to our site routers. Our Ether4 will be the connection from which this PC is connected or this virtual machine is connected. So Ether4 is our management VLAN 88 access port. Our hub AC Lite comes with two wireless interfaces, WLAN 1 and WLAN 2. But for our video or the purposes of this demonstration, we don't need to use this one. So we disable them. Next is we have a bridge interface, and the VLAN 99 and VLAN 88 are under this bridge interface. So if we check on our VLAN interfaces, so hotspot VLAN 99 has a VLAN ID of 99 under the bridge interface. Also, the management VLAN 88 has a VLAN ID of 88 and under the bridge interface. So let's review our bridge interface. So we close this one and we close the interface list window. So we go to the bridge menu. So we have one bridge. So default setting. Next is the ports that are members of the bridge. So Ether 2 and Ether 4. Ether 4 is connected to this PC. Ether 2, when we power our access point, so this will be connected. Next, our VLANs are added, 88 and 99. Okay, so on bridge VLAN 88, so we have the tag is bridge 1 and Ether 2 and the untagged port is Ether 4. So nothing much changed from our first video. Also on the VLAN 99, so the tag port is the bridge and Ether 2. And we'll close this one. And finally, on our bridge interface, we go to the VLAN tab and obviously we check the VLAN filtering. Okay, so that is for our bridge configuration. Again, nothing is changed from our first video. Also, we go to IP addresses. So we have the management VLAN IP 1088.0.1 and our hotspot IP remains the same 1099.0.1 and our internet connection, so this time going to another router, so this is the IP address. So we'll also test if we have an internet connection in a moment. So let's check our internet configuration. So we have an IP going to the internet, so that is okay. So we close this one. So IP routes, so we have a default route going to our router. So if we're going to test if we are indeed able to reach our router, that is 254, 254, and 254, and we click start, and yes, it's reachable. So we can also test from here some public IPs. So quadruple 8, and yes, there is a reply, and quadruple 9, and yes, there is a reply. Next, we will revisit our hotspot configuration. So we will close this one. So we have IP hotspot and we have the hotspot server already configured on this particular interface. So again, we will leave default settings. So we will not configure as long as it's basically running. That's fine for us. So we have the hotspot servers, we have the server profile with inquirinity.hotspot and this particular IP address. We don't touch on login, we don't touch on radius tabs. Users, okay, so I remove already the hotspot user number 1 or user 1 for our first video. So we'll add a new user here for our example. So we could be precise on what hotspot server. So perhaps hotspot 1. So this time it's user 2 and password is 1234567 8. And let's double check. And yes, we don't do limits here. We don't change profile because again, it's not the objective or the scope of our video. So we will just have our user from the site router be able to connect to this hotspot service. So click apply, click OK. So again, final review, again, nothing much, apply and OK. So we leave our user profiles as default. We don't have any host or active connection yet. And the rest of the tabs, we will not tackle them. So next, I'm turning on our access point or our disk Lite AC. But while waiting for that, so we could try to test if our management PC will be able to reach this particular IP address. So ping 1088.0.1 And indeed, we are able to reach 10.88.0.1. So basically, we could also connect just like that, not only MAC address, but connect via IP address. And yes, our access point has been turned up, and we will configure this, or we will check the configuration of our access point. Okay, so as a review, we are now on our way to configure or check our access point. So this particular area, so we are done with this, or we will just go back if there are any issues or lacking configuration on our main router. So we will turn our focus on this access point. So as you can see, this is a real MikroTik RB Disk G 5ACD or Disk Lite 5AC. And we will go inside to this particular wireless device. Okay, so we will not really go configure this Disk Lite 5AC from scratch, because this is still the same Disk Lite 5AC from our video. So please check on that, the configure Disk Lite 5AC or MikroTik Disk Lite 5AC video. So you check on that. So it's basically the same configuration I applied onto this device. So let's check on the configuration. So basically system identity. So we have the AP, or rename the identity as AP. So we have bridge interface, and this time the ports. So for disk Lite, so we have two interfaces only. If we'll check on this one, so we have Ether 1 and WLAN 1. So the bridge has a port members Ether 1 and WLAN 1. So WLAN 1 is not yet up because the station is not yet powered on. Okay, so if we check on Ether 1 VLAN, so we don't have any VLAN configuration there. On our WLAN 1 VLAN tab, we don't have also any PVID configuration. Next, on the VLAN's IDs 88, so the tag is bridge, Ether 1 and WLAN 1. And on our 99 VLAN ID, so we don't have bridge anymore because we don't have any IP for the bridge hotspot VLAN 99 interface. So we don't have any bridge tagging here, so just Ether 1 and WLAN 1. Okay, so again 88, so these are the tag, no untag, and you have the 99, which is the hotspot. So these are the tag ports, and the untag we don't have any. So all it's left is if we go to back to bridge and the bridge VLAN, so we enable the bridge VLAN filtering. So next is we have created a VLAN interface under the bridge interface. So management VLAN 88, which has a type of VLAN, is under this bridge. And if we go inside, we have VLAN ID 88 and under the interface bridge. So that we will assign an IP address for this particular MGT VLAN 88 interface that carries an IP of 10.88.0.10. And later on, we'll try to test ping on this particular virtual machine, see if we could reach this access point. Okay, let's test. So from our management PC, see if we're able to ping. So let's try to ping again the main router, and yes, there is a reply. And this time, let's ping the IP of this access point 10.88.0.10, and yes, there is still a reply, so we're able to reach this access point via IP instead of connecting via MAC address. Now all it's left is our wireless configuration, so let's close this one. Let's close this IP address and interface list window. Let's go to wireless. So again, it's still not running because there is no station, or on the other side, there is no receiver yet or client yet. So S for slave because this is a member of the bridge. So VLAN 1. So we don't change anything here under the wireless. So we configured mode as bridge. So again, because perhaps my license is only license 3 and I could not run AP bridge. So I configured bridge. So again, if you have checked our video on configure disk Lite 5 AC, so everything here is the same. So band is this one, channel width, frequency, SSID, and if we go to advanced mode for additional settings, so we are running on NV2 protocol, radio name is AP. Okay, so the bridge mode is enabled, the VLAN mode are nothing much and untouched or not configured. Here in NV2, so we have the same password inquirinity. So basically we have to match the same setting on our station, but on the other side it's a different mode. So here on our access point, the mode is bridge, and these are the configuration for our wireless. Okay, so now I turn on also the station wireless disk Lite. So if we go and review, so we are here on our access point, we are turning this on, and hopefully the wireless configuration. So the station is also pre-configured, as it's basically the same on the access point and only change the mode. So we are hoping that it is connected and we can also manage it from here on our management PC virtual machine. Okay, so let's close this and hopefully it's connected. So let's close this one. And if we check the status, yes, it's now RS or running and slave. So running, so there is connected to this bridge or access point. So if we take a look at the registration tab, so you'll notice that there is a radio named station connected to this or connected to us, and it is not an AP, so no. So with a just fairly new uptime of 1 minute, and obviously just don't mind the TX and RX because they are practically so near to each other for testing purposes only. But what important is it's connected, and hopefully we could also see it on our Winbox, and hopefully we could also ping the IP address 1088.0.11. Okay, so let's see if we can ping 1088.0.11. Okay, so again, this is the IP of this station. So, and yes, we are able to ping. So we are connected across. So this time, let's see if it's visible in our inbox. And yes, station is visible, and we could configure or connect via IP Winbox instead, 1088.0.11. So again, this is a disk Lite or a real disk Lite, RB disk G-5ACD. And let's click connect. And yes, we are connected to our station. Okay, so we are here at the station. So let's review the configuration of this MikroTik device. So again, this is practically mirrored from the bridge or the access point. So only few settings are different, and obviously the system identity is different. So the identity is station. We have the same bridge configuration. So we have a single bridge. We have two ports. WLAN 1 is up because this station is connected to the bridge or the access point. Ether 1 is not up yet because the MikroTik hub light is not yet turned on. So we will turn it on in a while or after we have checked or configured our station. So if we check the PVID or under the VLAN, so it is default 1. Ether 1 is also the same. Next, here in our VLANs tab, so for VLAN 88, so the tag is bridge 1 Ether 1 and WLAN 1. So we tag the bridge 1 because again, we will try to reach the IP address that is under the bridge interface. So management IP address for that matter. Next is for your 99 or VLAN 99 or the hotspot VLAN. So Ether 1 and WLAN 1. We don't tag the bridge now because we don't have any IP address that we want to ping for the VLAN 99. Next is we have the bridge, and we will also check the VLAN filtering as with other devices. So again, the bridge settings practically is the same for the rest of our devices so far. Okay, so next we go to our VLAN interface. So there is a VLAN 88. Under bridge menu or bridge interface, we have the VLAN ID 88. So with this name, and this VLAN carries an IP address of 10.88.0.11. So actually, we have pinged this already. So that is why we are able to connect via IP address. So no need to test for this one. So all is left is to check the wireless configuration of this Lite 5 AC station. Let's check our wireless configuration. So we go to wireless menu and RS or running slave. So we go inside. So nothing much is changed here. Wireless. So this mode is station bridge. So we need to do a station bridge, not station, because we want it to bridge on the Ether interface or the Ether 1 interface. So the band is the same, channel width, frequency, SSID, and if we go to advanced mode, radio name is station. We are running on NV2 protocol. Okay, so these are the settings for the rest. And if we go to NV2 protocol, we have also type the same pre-shared key for this station or this Lite 5 AC station. So nothing much is changed on the other settings or other tab. And we have only do our configuration here in wireless tab and the NV2 tab. So again, for review, mode is station bridge, and the rest are just matching settings to our access point. So now what's next? So basically we'll close this one and we will revisit later in case there are any connection issues. So from our topology, we are done here and we are turning on our hub light, so it will act as the MT-Site2 router. So again, this hub light configuration is also the same as what we have configured on our MT-Site1 router. So nothing much new here is such that we have used a physical or a real MikroTik device and not a virtual one, and we are waiting for it to be turned on, and we will try to see the configuration for our MikroTik hub light. Okay, let's open a new Winbox and see if our MT-Site2 or hub light router is up. So we go to more, new Winbox, and yes, our MT-Site2 router is up. So freshly up, 1 minute so. And we have the board number RB941-2ND, or more commonly known as hoplite. So 1088.0.3. So I already pre-configured this one, and we'll just revisit the configuration or review the configuration. So if we will also test from our management PC, so far we can reach our what we call main router. We can reach our AP. We can reach our station. And finally, we could also reach our new site router on 1088.0.3. Or yes, we can reach it, and there is a reply. So meaning to say the VLAN configuration is almost okay here, but we will try to check on what is configured on our hoplite router. So we are now inside our MT-Site2 or hoplite router. So again, it's the same on our MT-Site1 router on our first video. So system identity is changed to MT-Site2 router. We have created a bridge interface and the ports are Ether1, which is going to our station, and Ether2, that is going to our virtual machine, which we will also turn on in a while. If we check the port ID settings, so nothing is changed except for the Ether4 that is on the hotspot interface. So Ether4 is an access port here in our sample topology. And we go to VLANs. So 88, VLAN ID 88. So we have tagged the bridge and Ether1. Okay. Next is on VLAN 99, the hotspot VLAN. So we don't need to tag the bridge one because we don't have any IP for VLAN 99, only the management VLAN. The tag is Ether1 and the untag or the access port is Ether4. So this is should be a partner. So remember, if you untag Ether4 here, then you should have a sort of PBID setting other than 1. So it should be set on the appropriate VLAN assignment. So VLAN 99, so that is why on the VLANs 99, the Ether4 is also untagged. And finally, of course, on our bridge itself, the VLAN filtering is checked. Okay, so next we close this one and we go to the interface and we have one VLAN interface under the bridge. So this is where our management VLAN IP was assigned. So if we go inside VLAN 88 under the bridge 1 interface. Okay, so under the IP address menu, we have 10.88.0.3/24 assigned to our VLAN 88 interface. Okay, so just for checking, there is no hotspot configured on this hoplite. And yes, hoplite is able to support hotspot service as well, but again, there is no hotspot server configured in this MikroTik hoplite device. So all what's left is to turn on our virtual machine that will act as our Site 2-PC, and hopefully it will be able to connect and get an IP address coming from the main hotspot router and carry an IP of 10.99.0 something. So hopefully this site PC should be able to acquire it. Next is obviously we'll test if we can access or reach the inquirinity.hotspot login page for our hotspot. And after authenticating the user that we have configured here, hopefully the site PC will be able to access the internet and gain access to websites. Okay, so I've turned on our Site2-PC. So again, the name of the virtual machine is just different. But I want to point out that we don't have any IP address that is configured on this interface. So it should obtain, and hopefully it should obtain the hotspot network IP addresses. So we have configured as a DHCP client. So let's just click OK. And if we take a look at the status, okay, it acquires an IP address 10.99.0.251 coming from our 10.99.0.1 DHCP server, and hopefully we'll now test if we're able to reach our hotspot page and authenticate. Let's now test if we can reach and open the hotspot page. So let's close this for now and let's minimize this one. Let's open a sample internet browser. Let's type the hotspot page, which is inquirinity.hotspot. And when we press enter, yes, we are able to reach the MikroTik default hotspot page, and we have our user 2 that is configured on our main router, and the password is 1234567 8, and hopefully we'll be able to connect. And yes, we are connected, but we need to verify if we have internet access. Okay, so let's verify if we have internet access. So we'll click never for this. Let's open up a new tab. Let's open mikrotik.com, and hopefully it will cooperate and we have a good internet connection. And yes, we're able to access our MikroTik.com page to prove that we have internet connection. So if you take a look at our hotspot status page, so we'll see that we have some bytes up and down to confirm our connection. And yes, we are connected to the MikroTik.com site. And for instance, you have a Winbox here on our Site 2 PC. You can even see that it can see the empty dash hotspot on our main site. So this is our main router. So again, the IP address is on the hotspot segment and not our management VLAN segment. As a summary, so we are able to demonstrate that our hotspot service is extended over wireless connection. So our new hotspot user on site number 2 was able to reach hotspot login page. So actually it gets or acquires IP address on the hotspot segment, reach the hotspot login page, authenticate and gain internet access. Also this time we use real or physical MikroTik devices. So we have Hub AC Lite, Disk Lite 5AC and Hub Lite. If you notice the bridge configuration wherein the bridge VLAN filtering is there, for almost all devices are the same except when there is a needed access or untagged port and different tag or trunk port. We still have more videos to come about centralized hotspot. Thank you for watching.